Believe in yourself, huh? Who else gon' believe in you? Who else gon' believe in you? Who else gon' believe in you? Believe in yourself.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Manny Hall Show. I have with me Luciana Gilmore today. We're about to get it in. It's about to be exciting. Say hello to him.
Hi.
Hey, for the guys that already know her, I'm telling you, we're about to get it in and share some things that you might not know. So don't think that you got it all figured out because you don't.
You do not. Absolutely.
Say that. All right, Manny Hall Show, let's go.
All right.
Hey sis, how are you?
Hi, how are you?
I'm excellent. Please tell the people your name and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Luciana Gilmore. I am the founder and creator of Gilmore Girls Greetings. But we are in the beautiful school of John Adams High School because this was my home for 5 years as a principal, I actually was a classroom teacher here. So I found it suiting for Manny Hall to come to John Adams because this was my base and this is actually what formulated Gilmore Girls Greetings.
Absolutely. So what made you get started with the Gilmore Girls?
So Gilmore Girls was actually birthed out of just thinking I had a daughter that was 17, getting ready to go into her senior year of high school. I was here and I had senior girls that I was over the senior class, and I think it was just a combination of wanting to provide a program that actually kind of dived into those things that may be missing in some of our daughters' lives.
Gotcha.
So it wasn't just something that I seen here,
Gotcha.
but it was also something that I was lacking in providing with my daughters. And so I was very intentional in sitting back and thinking, like, just getting ready to go to school. Like, I told her everything.
Right.
Have I done everything right? Did I give her all the tools that she needed to be successful in college?
That makes sense.
And so it really came from that. I actually knew that I was going to do something different than education. I knew that this was my base, but I did know that my reach was going to extend a lot further than where it had taken me. And so I was very prayerful, and I just kept saying, God, give me what's my next? What's going to happen after this?
Right.
And I was sitting on the couch one day with my 17-year-old daughter. I just started jumping up and down. She was like, "What's wrong with you?"
right.
And I said, "Asia, I know what my next is. I know what I'm supposed to do." And she said, "What?" And I said, "I'm supposed to help mothers and daughters communicate openly and with intentionality." And I don't know where this is coming from. I don't even know how I'm gonna do it.
Right.
But it was just given to me, and now I have to find a way to kind of maneuver this.
Yeah.
And so that day was, you're gonna write greeting cards. It's like, greeting cards? Like, where is this coming from?
Yeah.
Always enjoy receiving greeting cards and picking out greeting cards. Never in a million years had I thought I was going to author greeting cards.
Yeah.
That day I sat at my kitchen counter and wrote 100 greeting cards by hand at the counter. Literally, I was turning the page and the words were just coming.
Yeah.
And so, mentally, I just started thinking, like, what are some things that I wish I had said to my daughter? What are some things that I still need to say to her? What are some of those missed times when she was mad, I was mad, that we didn't talk?
Yeah.
And I really wrote them from that place. I then, in turn, said, Asia, write me some cards. Write me some things that you wish you could have said to me that maybe I would not have been as open to receive at the time, or maybe you didn't know how to say it to me.
Right.
And so she wrote about 15 that day.
Which is still good.
Which is still good. Because she really sat down and she really thought about it. And the cards were, what she wrote was heartfelt.
Gotcha.
I, in turn, took her cards and said, okay, I need to go a little bit deeper with this. And then I wrote my first book, Daughter, Have I Told You Lately? And so from the words that she wrote in her card, I made sure that I addressed, affirmed, and was real intentional about things that I wanted her to hear.
Gotcha.
I wrote the book, and I invited mothers and daughters throughout the city of Cleveland to come down and participate in a photo shoot.
Nice.
And so I had all the way from a mother who was pregnant with her baby all the way to more mature mothers looking at their daughters and saying, I think you're wonderful. I love your walking motherhood. Just giving daughters that affirmations through each stage of life.
I love it.
It was a wonderful turnout. The book came out in July of last year. And so I've been on my book tour, very small tour, but I've started that. And just kind of just been getting out here. I've been doing a lot of speaking engagements.
Yeah, that's dope.
Just really taking the company and really let it spread its wings, and then I'm just walking in the way that it's spreading.
I love that. So what's the overall purpose and mission and vision of Gilmore Girls? And you don't have to give me like that cookie cut answer,
I won't.
but just like a summary.
Okay, so my tagline, I stand on: if we inspire and heal the girl, then we will inspire and heal the world. And so I had to kind of dig a lot deeper than just surface of mother and daughter. I had to dig deep just even within myself to
Yeah.
say, what are
That
some
makes
things
sense.
that I've went through that I need to share?
Right.
What are some things that I wish I could have heard as well? So my daughter gave me some things, but what were some things that I could have in turn
Right.
included? And so it really became part of me saying, this is so much bigger than me, that it isn't about me at
Yeah.
this point. It's really about things that I've experienced, life challenges that I have endured, and how do I now take those things and make them positives and show other girls, other mothers, other daughters, how you don't have to let negative things impact your life in a negative way.
That makes sense.
And so a lot of my speaking is talking to mothers and really sharing my story, because everyone, what they seen was this young girl, she became a principal of one of the largest high schools in Cleveland, and everything must be wonderful, or was wonderful in her life. She's educated and she can get the job done, but on the inside, as much as I was giving to my students saying, you could be great and don't worry about this, and you can keep going, I was fighting a lot of internal things that I hadn't dealt with.
Gotcha.
I did want them to be great. That was my ultimate goal, but
Right.
I had to do some work with myself, and I think that
Yeah.
this company actually allows me to do that. I'm continuously working on me. Very, very open about my upbringing, which I was able to share a little bit of it as an educator. But some things, you couldn't share because I
makes
was
sense.
limited.
Yeah.
And now I'm able just to say, when I talk to girls and when I talk to mothers, I'm able to speak on those things about, growing up in a domestic violence household and how that impacted me and how it still impacts me in my relationships now.
Right.
I'm able to talk about being sexually abused and how that impacted me and how it still impacts me.
Yeah.
I'm able to talk from a lens of having an incarcerated parent my entire life and how that impacted me, and then in turn committed suicide after he felt I had been successful, and he said he no longer was valued in this life. So I talk about all those lenses, and I talk about how all those things, you see this shell on the outside and you think that it's great, but there's so many internal things, so many stains that have impacted my life that I couldn't be great if I didn't have those negative things.
Wow, I love that.
Yeah.
So you did just share a little bit of your story, but let's deal with it a little bit more and like really kind of tackle some of the issues that other young girls deal with related to your own personal journey.
Absolutely.
So you can start wherever you want to start.
And so, I one of my biggest platforms, and has always been something that I have shared with my students, is growing up in a household that was not the most safe environment.
Gotcha.
And I began to live with my stepfather at the age of 3. And until I actually graduated from high school and went to college, that was my lifestyle. I mean, it was not a good household. I seen my mother be beaten. I've heard the screams in the middle of the night. And it was a childhood that, as an adult, I take that into my relationships now. Like, I'm very fragile with hollering or approaching, and I talk about these things. And so as women, as mothers, we think that we're the person who's dealing with it. You're the person who get the hit.
Yeah.
So the kids are okay because you're making them safe. But when you get the hit, the kids feel it. You're their mother.
Yep.
And you have to make sure that you understand that it's not just about what you're taking physically, but it's also about what they're getting internally. And so this is something that I know that my mother would have never thought was being ingrained in me, but it became a part of who I was.
Gotcha.
And I talk about that. Once you have children, it isn't about you anymore. You have to think of everything, because everything impacts them. They're
That's
like
right.
sponges.
That's right. Yeah, I
and
agree.
you have to be intentional about that.
Yeah.
Intentional about who you engaging with. Intentional about what that relationship looks. What are you modeling for your
Right.
children?
That's right.
And this is not to say I've done it perfectly, because I have not. But it is to say that I'm aware of the things that did impact me, so I have been intentional not to bring those things around my children.
Gotcha.
I talk about being sexually abused and how, you know, in our culture, you know, it's kind of like taboo to talk about sex and what does that look like. But I talk about how, as an adult now, it impacts me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not as open as, you know, I hear my friends and I hear my sorors, and, you know, we'll have very open conversation, and I'm not as open. You know, I'm still secluded in a lot of ways. I've been married and divorced, and it's still something that I deal with.
Gotcha.
I was able to share while I was in education about my dad being incarcerated and what that looked like for me. I met my father when I was 22 years old.
Wow.
And
so was he incarcerated the majority of your life?
All of my life. So my father was incarcerated from the time I was 18 months. Found out about him when I was 13.
Okay.
We began to write back and forth. And then I actually met him when I was 22. And the amazing part that I used to share with my students is that regardless of good, bad, or indifferent, they're still our parents.
Yeah.
And so I didn't look at him with what he had been charged with, what he was doing time with. He was just still dad.
Yeah.
And so from the time I was 22 all the way into the time that he took his life, I was back and forth. So my dad was incarcerated in Phoenix, Arizona. And so I would travel back and forth out there as much as I could to see him. And our last visit, he told me, he said, I can't live this life anymore. At that point, he had been locked up for 35 years.
Wow.
And he said, I can't do this anymore. And a lot of my life was dependent because I wanted to see you be good. I wanted to see you be successful. He said, and I really feel like your mother has done an amazing job, but right now, I can't add any more value to you.
Wow.
And of course, as a kid, and I'm saying a kid because I didn't have a childhood with him, so even at the 34, I'm still looking at him as, you know, I'm talking from the lens of daddy.
Right.
Because I missed all of that.
Right.
And so to hear a parent say that this is it for him on this earth was a lot to intake.
Yeah.
And so now I'm not just taking this burden of having an incarcerated parent, but now what do I do? What do I do with this? Yeah. He told me that in October, and he called me in May, and he said, I just wanted to call you and let you know that no matter what someone calls and tells you or describes to you, know that I love you and I love my grandchildren. And he gave me a lot of just last things, you know, make sure with your son that you are disciplining him. Make sure that you stay on top of him. I know you're gonna be good for your girls, but I'm telling you this because I didn't have a strong parent. And I ended up here, and I'm not putting it on her, but I needed some more direction than what I was given.
Gotcha.
And I took those words to heart. 2 weeks later, they called me and said that he had killed himself.
Wow.
And so, and I knew that was the last time that I would speak with him.
Yeah.
But it's a sting.
It's
a parent.
You
know, he's gone, and even though he wasn't physically in my day-to-day routines, and he couldn't come to graduation and you know, be a part of my births of my children, he still was my father. Yeah. And so now in this, my whole company, you know, I talk about these things because it's serious. It's what our kids are dealing with.
Exactly.
If we don't start talking about it, who will?
That's it. And, you know, I love the fact that you, even at 22, said, I really want this relationship with my dad. And although he was locked up during that time, of all the different things that you would have wished he was there for, you still were daddy's little girl.
Absolutely.
You still were in love with him.
And so I had just had my first daughter at 22. From her birth, that kind of sparked, like, wait a minute. I just had a child. I want to see him. Like, I want to put my hands on him. I want to touch him. Yeah. You know, what does he smell like?
Right.
How does he walk? How does he smile? Right. Had never seen him. And my daughter was born in April. Me and my daughter flew out there in August. As soon as he came through the door, I knew that was my father. And all throughout growing up, like, I do not look like my mom. And so, you know, you want to see, like, who do I look like? Everybody keeps saying you look like your dad. What does he look like? Right. And so when he came in and he sat at the table, and we were sitting across from each other, and he did his hands like this. And I instantly started crying. And he said, why are you crying? And he started crying. I said, because your hands look like my hands. it was something so insignificant, but I still remember looking at his hands.
Wow.
And so yeah, these are things, and my voice is getting a little shaky.
No, you're good. You're good.
But these are things that I deal with, but I want to be very transparent about it because I know it's going to help somebody else.
Yeah.
And so if you have that parent that you haven't had a relationship with because they're incarcerated, or you're mad because they did something else that caused them to get locked up, because for a lot of years I was upset. I felt like you had a child. It wasn't that, this happened, you had a child and you still decided to do some things that caused you to be in jail. But at the end of the day, we're human and we're gonna make some mistakes. And his mistakes just cost him more than what he knew he was willing to give up at that time.
That's it.
And at the end of the day, I still love him.
Can you speak to those young girls that don't have their dad, either they're incarcerated or they're this absent period? Can you speak to them?
Yes. And so to young girls who may not have a dad, or he may be incarcerated, what I have come to conclude at this point in my life is that a parent never loses their title. And so you can work and have the title of principal. You can work and have the title of manager, IT operator, whatever that looks like. Those titles change and they evolve. Parent never leaves. And at the end of the day, regardless of what they have done, why they have been out of your life, I think that it's important that you, for you, not for them, but for you as the child, that you mend that relationship. If it's a phone call that you take, if it's a letter that you write, because people mature and they grow up and they think about things that they could have did better. And I think for your peace, you understanding who you are, it's important that you mend that relationship to move forward.
Yeah.
Regardless of who they are your parent.
Yeah. Now, what if they're wrestling and struggling to forgive themselves because of a mistake that was made, or they know that they have, broke that relationship with their mom and dad, or they caught their dad doing something and they had to tell on them, and all these different things.
And so I think that there's different levels to, how you deal with things, but I think at the end of the day, the fact still remains the same, that if there's something that you need to be forgiven for, if it's something that they need to be forgiven for, I think communication is our best avenue for opening up those doors. They may be longing to hear from you and don't know how to say it.
Yep.
You are probably longing to hear from them and you don't know how to say it. And so I talk a lot about writing, because sometimes we're able to write things that verbally we're too scared to say.
That's right.
And so if it is just a simple letter and you don't even know how to start the conversation, just sending a letter saying, I love you, is enough to start the conversation. You never know what people are dealing with in their own.
Yeah.
You don't know what they brought into that relationship as being a parent.
Yeah.
They may have some things that they've done with too, and all they had in their toolbox is what they were able to provide, and we don't know that. And so until they have some additional tools to be able to talk, to be able to communicate in an open space, then we at this pass, and both of us are fighting, want the same thing, but can't get to the middle place.
Yeah.
And so if it starts with you and you know how to communicate, if you know how to write a simple I love you, if you've done something that you want to be forgiven for, open the door.
I love
and
that.
And the door can just be started with, if it's a letter to prison, I love you. I just wanted you to know I was thinking about you. Maybe they need to hear that.
Yeah. And those things will definitely open up the door.
Absolutely.
So for some of the young girls that you have worked with here at this school and just with your organization, period, what are some of the biggest struggles that you've seen them go through?
I think self-esteem is probably one of the biggest struggles that I have seen girls go through for multiple reasons. The self-esteem can come from just not feeling like they're worthy. It's a lot of things that go on in schools. It's a lot of peer pressure.
Yeah.
And so it's the peer pressure to be the popular girl. It's the peer pressure to be the pretty girl. It's the peer pressure to be the girl who dresses the nice. They got all these things going on.
Yeah.
And then you compile that with whatever is going on in their family. It's a lot. So as my last position as a high school principal, this is actually the hallway that I man all day. So
Okay.
I opened up a new ninth grade academy for John Adams High School, and my ninth graders were housed on this wing. So he's waiting here because I know you want to talk to me. That's why you came out the door. Come on. Okay, how's school been? Good. Heard I was up here.
Well, I just seen you. I heard you on the home. Like, is that Miss Gilmore?
Oh, right. All right. What class supposed to be in? Okay.
You back?
It's,
I see you
this whole program put together. It is a sports focused academy.
Okay.
And so it started off with about, enrollment was very low. So I had to go to like all the neighboring middle schools and kind of gather up my kids. And they end up coming in. We end up exceeding what our expected enrollment was.
Okay.
And so it, has been a job of love, but I also knew that once I was able to kind of get them going, that I had reached my limits in education in this capacity.
Gotcha.
I think I'm always going to educate in some form or fashion. I just needed to change my lens of where my reach was going.
That makes sense. So yeah, so let's walk down. So how many teachers were like on this wing?
11.
Okay.
So 11 was on this wing. So before this program, I had the comprehensive high school that was actually the whole school with a total of 120 staff.
Wow. Okay.
And so this. How's it going? So this was one of my middle school babies that followed me all the way to high school.
Oh wow. Hey.
Good. Classical. You learning a lot. Staying focused. Thank you, baby. So that's what I was kind of sharing. And sometimes just those little bitty things can change a direction of how a student's day goes. Just that simple words. You do too, baby. And she smiled. And she, those are probably the little things that I miss. And the whole scheme of things is just having that constant interaction.
Now, why do you think that you had such an impact, and what can you really provide to other educators, principals, teachers, administrators?
I think that I had an impact because I think I was able to just relate to the kids. I mean, I grew up, my grandmother lives around the corner from here. Hey, man, how are you? Good. My grandmother lives around the corner from here, so I grew up in this neighborhood, and I think that a lot of my kids came with a lot of things, a lot of the backgrounds that I had. So when they would come in and have a hard day, I understood it. I didn't talk about what I learned from my book. I talked about what that looked like from my life and how I was able to take that and change it. So I think that when you're able to be transparent about things that kids need to hear, oh, wait a minute, you dealt with that too? And they're able to effectively kind of change their direction just with a little bitty conversation, just to know that I didn't get here because I had a silver spoon. Like, I worked hard, and there was a lot of things that went into this whole job of being a principal and what that looked like. And so I tried to be as open as I could with the things that I needed to share with them that I knew were things that they would be able to relate to.
Okay, that makes sense.
What I was gonna say? Miss Massey, you said how have I been successful being relatable to the kids? Miss Massey actually was one of my teachers when I was a principal at a middle school, and I followed her, and she followed me. Yes.
I think it's just being able to relate to the kids. Like when they're having an issue, Ms. Gilmore will pull a kid in and talk to them and get to the bottom of whatever it is, and not just see them for what it is right there at that moment. She can kind of unpack what they're going through.
Yeah. Is it challenging even for you sometimes that for them to really be able to understand what you're saying? Not in terms of the way you're saying it, but to like really feel you, that you really are there to help them and not just in teacher form?
Yeah, I feel like it's hard because they see you for what you are. You're a teacher. You don't understand what I'm going through today. And I think it's really, really hard because they get a lot of people just telling them to do stuff, so they don't understand why I'm telling them to do it. And me caring, like I'm telling you this because I care about you. The same thing I would tell my kids at home. I tell you, I love you, and I'm here, and I walk not the halls of John Adams, but I was at CMSD, so I understand, and that's why I love Ms. Gilmore, why I follow her, because she understands their struggle, and I did too.
That's awesome.
She was an awesome. Hi.
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you? She was an awesome teacher here at John Adams. She was awesome at finish, and so when she told me she was ready to come on board, I'm like, okay, what we got to do? Because I mean, Miss Massey is one of those teachers that just jump in. If it's needed, I'm there. I don't care about all the little entities that go along, into the job. I'm coming.
Gotcha.
So it was awesome to have her join the team.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Miss Massey.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gilmore. Even though I didn't even
That's okay. It's fine. As a principal, everything was private just because I didn't want them to follow me. But now I have a lot of students that I connect with on social media, and they send me messages. I get even those who are not my friends will send me Facebook Messenger, and that information was just like, I miss you, Miss Gilmore.
Yeah.
I want to tell you what happened. I have a lot of students who have graduated. I want to share, I'm doing
Oh,
this,
wow,
or,
okay.
I had a couple students that came to my book signing who had
Yeah.
graduated, who were like my cheerleaders because I was a cheer advisor here and a dance team advisor. So I have those connections, from when I was a teacher here as well. And so I have a lot of those students that follow me still to this day. And, oh, Ms. Gilmore, you transition. One student just reached out to me. She's an adult, she has children, she's doing her own thing. She said, I just wanted to let you know that you really made a huge impact, and I still look at you as my mentor. Like, those kind of things kind of keep me going because I know that my work was impacted regardless of if people see the outward effects of your work. If you can touch one, you've touched many more that just haven't been able to communicate that with you.
So are some of these girls now Gilmore girls?
No, so Gilmore Girls Greetings is just the name of my company, and
Gotcha.
so I started that. Just Gilmore is my last name.
Okay.
And
Well, because I
kinda
was
felt
going to say that, when you first explained it to me, I saw not only this organization of the different things that you were doing, but also this movement
Yes.
of a whole bunch of Gilmore girls, like all across the country, just doing their thing.
Yes, and so I just have started. I just started my nonprofit leg of this.
Okay.
Which is Gilmore Girls Greetings Foundation, and that's kind of taking its own leg.
Gotcha. Okay.
And so with that, I am getting ready to go on a Twin City tour.
Okay.
I don't want to give you too much information.
No,
because
that's
I haven't put
okay.
it out in
Yeah,
the public,
that's
but
okay.
It is going to be a tour where I'm going to have moms and daughters come and engage with me and really talk about some issues that's hidden. I'm really kind of targeting my population from 5 to 12 on this tour.
Okay.
And we're really going to focus on bullying.
Okay.
And how that we need to attack that lens.
Gotcha.
Just hearing so many things that are impacting our girls at a younger age.
Yeah.
And then seeing the results of bullying. When you hear a 10-year-old commit suicide, something has to stop. That's a baby. And so this tour was inspired out of that.
Okay.
We're just right now in the process of getting some sponsors to help
That
with
makes
that.
sense.
But I'm hugely, when I tell you, like, this is kind of exploding inside of me, I'm so excited about this tour that's getting ready to come up. And so right now we're just in the midst of kind of lining up our tour. See, he wanted to hear from my teachers too, Miss Clinkscale. So he asked, like, how did I think I was able to be relatable to the students, and maybe you could talk to relatable to the staff.
She's just that kind of person.
Yeah.
She's very encouraging. She's always thinking about her staff and what they need to be successful, especially with this new mastery program.
Yes.
It was difficult at first, but Miss Gilmore made sure that we had what we needed to be successful, and that in turn make the students successful.
Absolutely. And she's my personal friend.
Yes.
I love it. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Where you at, Alicia?
I am. So the foundation. I'm sorry, I kind of got it. So the
No, you're good.
foundation that I created is really going to kind of base attack some of the things that our young girls are dealing with. And so essentially we will create a bunch of Gilmore girls everywhere with this tour. So I am, when it comes to light and I'm able to kind of put all the parts and pieces together, that we're really working hard behind the scenes to get done now, I think it's going to be an awesome.
So you're
awesome
really
movie.
just trying to catch them right from the beginning
I
of before these issues really spiral out of control.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And so I have a 10-year-old at home, and so when I just recently seen an episode of Dr. Phil, I heard a parent whose 10-year-old had just committed suicide in December. That touched me, and I instantly went on Instagram. And I had my oldest daughter join me in the conversation because although I'm a mother and I've been removed from actually being a student in school, I wanted to hear from somebody who had just graduated. So I included her on Instagram, and I just wanted her to share some of the things that she may have been exposed to that I wasn't even privy to. And then I set my 10-year-old down, and I had to have that conversation with her. Jada, do you hear bullying? Have you heard of bullying? Have you been bullied? And even just having just that small conversation, she started crying. I said, what happened? And she said, well, people talked about my teeth being bucked. And so I had to really just sit down because it hurt me to hear that. And I said, so did it happen one time or was it multiple times? And she said, it just happened one time. I said, well, you tell me next time because I never want you to feel like you're inferior or that I don't want your self-esteem to be damaged. Girls are, and part of my tour is just kind of talking about this. Girls are like beautiful flowers. Like they start as these little bitty buds and they're so pretty because everybody wants to see the little bitty flowers, and then they have some growth period. We have some years that may not be as cute as what boys go through. You know what I'm saying? And we gotta let's talk about it so that they understand that's just a time. It's a moment in time. But once you get over that hump, I think that all females are beautiful. Every female brings something to the table. And you have to know that you're going to get over this hump. You're going to be beautiful. You're going to be able to shine. And you're going to shine in your own light. But this tour is all about just kind of embracing self-esteem, building their self-confidence up, being intentional about talking about the bullying. How do we change that? How do you recognize it? If you hear it, what do you do? And bringing the moms into the conversation as well. And so the tour is a sleepover for moms and daughters.
Oh, nice.
And so that whole night we're gonna just dive deep into that conversation. Have you had that conversation with your daughter about bullying? Has she told you that? Is that something that she shared? Hopefully that night will be a night of some transition for girls where they're able to share that conversation. Moms are able to hear it, and better to address it before it gets to something that they can't control or that we hear another suicide. And that's really what I want to prevent.
That makes sense. Now, what is the scariest thing in your mind in terms of the Gilmore Girls, like for the future?
The future itself scares me. And so I know at this point, my dreams and my vision for Gilmore Girls is so big right now that it literally scares me. And it's some nights that I can't even sleep because I'm just thinking about all that it's going to impact. All the girls that I will effectively change, all of the moms that will become part of this network of moms that they're able to lean on. The organization itself, it scares me because I don't know how far God is going to extend my reach. And when it's the unknown, it's scary. And so, with education, I understood the path. You go to college, you get a degree, you teach for a little while, you want to be a principal, then you go down that avenue, you get another degree, and then you become a principal, right? With this whole Gilmore Girls greeting, there is no master plan that says if you go and talk to Manny Hall, that Manny Hall is going to put you in touch with Seinfeld. I mean, there isn't, it isn't a direct path, and so I'm learning something that's new and a bit uncomfortable for me. But I stay in prayer. Even this 20 city tour came from prayer, and I just kept saying, God, where do you want me to take this next? What am I supposed to do? How do I attack this? And instantly I received it. And when I'm saying instantly, because that was a prayer that I've said over and over, and then that one night that I asked for it was the one night that he said, this is what you're gonna do next. My response, and it's the middle of the night, my response right after that was, hey, no, you're fine. My response right after that was, how do I do that? That's huge. Like, how do I get this construct this so that it moves? And I tried to lay back down, so I said that. I tried to lay back down, and as I laid back down,
that's her.
Yeah, that's her. No. Oh my God.
Oh man. It's alright. What's up, bro? Well, I thought you abandoned us. Why you come back?
I abandoned you?
Yes.
No, I didn't.
I feel lonely. I'm talking about you all the time. I'm like, why you leave? Good.
Yeah,
It's going okay. I can do better. Yeah, but I missed you because they said you went to go write a book or something.
I did.
So you back now?
No. I'm gonna come back and see you guys though.
Okay.
And so I tried to go back to sleep after he gave that to me, and he was like, nope, you asking me how to get it done, sit up. I'm a writer at night, that's how I get most of my words, and I literally set up and wrote a sponsorship letter that night in the middle of the night, went to sleep, woke up and did not even know that I had wrote the sponsorship letter. I typed it in my phone, in my bed in the middle of the night. And so I know that this organization, my mission, the movement, it has nothing to do with me. It really is something that is God driven, and he's given me a purposeful lens that I didn't even know I had.
That makes sense. So with all the challenges that kind of rise sometimes, how do you stay up when those tough times come?
How do I stay up? I think a lot of it is just me being, I'm always someone trying to see how to learn something new.
Okay.
I don't know I'm a reader. I research, and so those times that I'm kind of feeling down, I ask myself, okay, how do I get over this? What do I have to do to make the next jump?
Yep.
And so I try not to let my down times become like the pivotal moment in my life. I try to turn my down times, okay, this is a downtime. It's time for me to learn something.
Yeah.
This whole entrepreneurship is different, and so learn something. So if it's about creating ads, getting your word out, making a phone call, sending an email, then I do that so that time doesn't consume my spirit.
Yep. I love that. So what motivates you?
What motivates me are my children. What motivates me are the little Lucianas in the world. That motivates me. It motivates me, the mother Lucianas in the world.
Yeah.
That motivates me. It motivates me from my daughter's lens because I want them to be great women. I want them to look at me as a great woman. I want them to say, I want to be like my mother. I want to hear that. For the little Lucianas, I want to give them hope. I want to provide an outlet for them to understand that your past doesn't determine your future. And I can talk from that lens. I can show them what has happened. For the mothers, I want to give them a sense of hope that you may not come to motherhood with all the tools in your toolbox, and it's okay. I'm still adding tools to my toolbox every day, and it's okay.
Yeah.
But if we are intentional and we just keep at it every single day, then we're gonna make some great women in this world. That's the goal of it.
That's it. And we are going to deal with naysayers and the haters and the doubters. How do you deal with those?
So let me say this. My mother is my biggest supporter. But when I walked away from a job that was paying me 6 figures, my mother did not understand. What are you doing, Sean? My family calls me Sean.
Okay.
And my whole response was, I said, Mom, it's not even about me anymore. 5 years ago, Manny, I'd have never walked away from this. I dreamed about being a principal. That's what I wanted to do. I want to lead a school. And I knew I was going to do something, but I had no idea that I would ever be in a position where I can walk away.
Yeah.
And so you hear those naysayers, you've accomplished so much, and how do you walk away from this, a good paying job in their eyes, good benefits, and you have a family to take care of. But what I know is that if I'm faithful and purposeful in my walk, I'm gonna be okay. And so I have been able to maintain. I've had multiple people reach out, and so now my mother's starting to come around a little bit, but she's still. And
at first she thought she was crazy out your mind.
What? She was literally I said, Mom, I'm gonna get the school up and running. It's gonna be time for me to walk away. And she said, I don't know about that. Why don't you stay for the rest of the year? I said, my time is up. I said, it's not even me. My time is up. And she literally was, and I don't think that it was more of a naysayer. I think that it was more of her being cautious.
Which is understandable. That's mama,
Protective. She's my mom.
Yeah.
But now I think that she is starting to see things kind of take off and seeing just how creative my senses are becoming and how dedicated I am to changing some trajectory of mothers and daughters, that I think that she's starting to come up with.
I love that. Now,
but the rest of the naysayers, it doesn't bother me. You have naysayers. You have a naysayer like that girl, the girl, people who do know me, like, she leading the school? Absolutely. I have 2 masters, a bachelor's, and I'm more than qualified. Yes, I'm leading the school.
Yeah.
So you always gonna have those naysayers no matter what people see what they want to see, and they take that and internalize it. But It just doesn't bother that it's very different being an entrepreneur than being an employee who works for somebody, and it takes a lot of dedication. It's not anything that I can say that you can be totally prepared for.
Gotcha.
You just don't know what the day-to-day is going to bring. That security that you once had, you no longer have anymore.
Yeah.
What I will say is that I think being prayerful really keeps you grounded. And so when it's things that you want to see happening in your business, even if it's before you get to actually be an entrepreneur, but in your season of transition, I think being very prayerful during that time and really asking God, what am I supposed to do? What are my next steps? Because everybody can go out and say, I want to start a business. But if you haven't been given some spiritual direction to say, how do you make that happen? Or what that looks like when you transition, then you kind of just throwing the ball out there to see if it lands somewhere good, right?
Yeah.
And so I think prayer has been probably the best asset that I have brought to being an entrepreneur. I think that even my walk with God has gotten stronger at this point because I'm really looking for, I don't want to do things because it's what I want to do. I'm doing things now because it's what He is telling me. It's where He's leading me, saying I need to take this next. It isn't even about I think this is a great idea for Gilmore Girls Greetings. I don't even think in those terms anymore. It really is okay, where am I supposed to take this next, God? How do I move this? Kind of feeling like I'm at a standstill right now. I need some momentum. How do I change this? Where do I go next? Who do I involve next? Who do I collaborate with next? It's really just, and my conversations is just like that. God, what am I supposed to do?
Gotcha.
This is where I'm at. What's my next move?
Yeah.
How do I make that happen? And His answer doesn't come immediately, and I am that type of person. I want immediate, So I have to be intentional on praying every day and saying, okay, God, I'm still waiting. I still need some help. I sent out about 16 emails yesterday, and I've called some people. Where do I go next? And the answer comes. It may not come when I want, but it does come.
Yeah, and I like what you said that, it's not an easy journey. For anybody, you won't have all the answers. And I think that a lot of times people try to their best to prepare themselves to say, okay, well, I'm going to save $50,000 up before I actually do my job, which, in some instances that can be wise. I'm going to make sure that I've paid some of my bills up for a while. But it's like,
I would advise that.
Yeah. But it's like, even with doing all of that, God got a crazy way of saying, oh, you thought you had it all planned out.
Absolutely.
So I got you. Now I'm going to make some extra bills come that you weren't prepared for. And I'm going to make you have to pay for stuff that you didn't plan on paying for.
That's true. That's the truth. I mean, I would have never planned for some of the things that I have come encounter with. But what I can say is that it makes me think more creatively as well. I'm used to when it was just, I knew a check was coming every 2 weeks. I didn't think creatively because I knew something was coming that I had something to lean on.
Exactly.
Now I'm creative. I'm probably one of the most creative minds out here going forward because I'm thinking like, okay, if I do this or I get this contract to speak here, what do I do in the meantime? How do I make this boat float?
Right.
When there's no wind and there's no currents pushing me, right? And so I'm learning how to be, I'm not even gonna say frugal, but at least learning how to not splurge as much. I'll say that.
And I think that's a perfect segue for my next question. First off, nails popping, hair look great, great outfit, got the shoes popping, you good.
Thank you.
Now with all of that, you're an entrepreneur still. You're getting this business going. You're about to transition to a nonprofit. You got your book.
Yes.
You don't have the safe and secure job as you used to have. Now speak to those young ladies, especially young black women, let's say from the ages of 20 to 40, that's thinking about stepping out, doing their own thing. Talk about the finances and that frugalness and having to sometimes cut back in some of the things that you desire to do, but you have to really watch.
And so this is what I will say, and this is something that I have always said. Whether I'm an entrepreneur or an employee for somebody, I always think that appearance goes a long way.
Yeah.
I think that whatever you do, you need to make sure that your first impression is your best impression. And that kind of goes tenfold when you're an entrepreneur, because you are the selling point. You are selling whatever it is. I am presenting and selling and showcasing Gilmore Girls Greetings. And so when I come to the table, I want you to say, wow, I want to know more about Gilmore Girls Greetings. And so I will say, for that new entrepreneur, yes, there is some frugalness. I don't get to go and hang out at 5-star restaurants as much as I used to. You know, that's something I had to cut back. Little changes, little tweaks. I've never been an overspender in terms of just going out and splurging, because I have 3 kids, and so
Right.
I take care of them, and so that's never been a huge part, but it is some things that I've had to tweak. So instead of having, when I walked away from here in October, I had 18 credit cards. I have 2 now. And so it's those things, and I'm intentional about not making sure that I don't use those if I don't need them. If I can pay cash for it, I don't want a bill. Why have a bill? Because I know that there is no guarantee of something in March.
That's it.
And so, yes, appearance is, and I just talked to someone in regards to this, another entrepreneur, and I said I'm very big on appearance. And so when you're stepping out, and I'm not saying that you have to go and get Armani suits to, every meeting that you go to, but you do need a couple pieces that you can mix in and out. A couple staple nice pieces that when you're called to come out of that home office and you have to go meet them, you need to go in there and show them exactly who you are, why your business is worthy, why you're credible, why you are coming to the table and presenting what you're presenting.
I love it.
And so that may be 2 pair of pants and 2 suit jackets and 5 shirts, because then you rotate them and you make them nice. You take them to the cleaners and you keep them up.
You gotta work
buy nice staple pieces and work them until you can get a whole closet full of things.
That's it.
And I because I've been fortunate enough to be in education for 16 years, I didn't have to go out and go create a whole new wardrobe. I was able to use what I wore in school every day and still show up to meetings and say, I'm Gilmore Girls Greetings, this is who I am, and I'm changing it. No, I can't go out and kind of switch and swap and all that stuff right now, but I know eventually I'll be able to, and I'm okay with that.
That's good. All right, so as we wrap up, any last words?
So my last words would probably be, just as a new entrepreneur, anyone out there thinking about it, walk in purpose. Don't walk in what you want to do. Walk in purpose. It makes a difference. I would also say, if you're sitting and you're saying, why me? Turn it around and say, why not you? I also would say, watch out for Gilmore Girls Greetings. We coming to a city, y'all. I'm going to have a whole network of moms and daughters. That would be my last.
I love it. I love it. And so how can they get in contact with you?
So I'm on Instagram at Gilmore Girls Greetings. I'm on Facebook at Gilmore Girls Greetings 16. And I'm on Twitter at Gilmore Girls GRE. So follow us, keep in touch, send me a message if it's something that you would like to work on together, if it's about domestic violence or incarcerated parents or sexual abuse or education or bullying, any of those things. I will walk hand in hand with you to get that off the ground. It's something that I'm passionate about. I am on a mission to create great women.
I love it. All right, guys, we're out. Manny Hall Show. Peace.
See ya.